Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, and this is Grim. I've returned with a brand new review for House of the Dragon. Apologies for the lateness. I was a bit busy this week, unfortunately, but I managed to get this done. So, episode 4 of House of the Dragon. It was a interesting episode, to say the least. Definitely a lot of buffoonery, as I like to say, has gone on in this episode. So, what are my overall impressions? Let's start with that before we get into the nitty gritty. Um, I liked the episode. It definitely set up some stuff for down the road. It set up some, how shall we say, big problems down the road. Because if that last scene didn't do it for you, well, let's just say things are gonna get rougher from here on out. So what are the big plot points of this episode? The first and the most apparent is Rhaenyra is still looking for a husband. Let's just say she didn't exactly find a good match from what her father and her queen were offering. Let's just say the men and the boys were not exactly up to snuff. Not surprising, but it is what it is there. So that happened. Then we move on to, how shall we say, Daemon returning after being away for a few years at, battling down in the steppes. He's come back, cut his hair, came back with a crown. That was an interesting thing. I was like, ugh. Right? But he surprised me by offering the steppes to his brother, to his king. This is where, after this whole moment happened, we did get the first, how shall we say, sign that things are starting to boil over. And that would have to be the conversation, or how shall we say, the almost non-conversation that happened between the king and his daughter in the beginning of the episode, where he looked at her and went, do what the fuck you want, I don't care. Because he was not exactly happy to see she's back when she was supposed to still be vetting for husbands for like the next 2 months. So that happened. We had another moment between Allison and Rhaenyra, where, yeah, they still had a friendship there, right? Although that friendship, I think, is going to start coming into question later on down the road. Then we have more political drama going on as, let's just say, Corvus decided to be how shall we say, kind of a dick by deciding to marry his daughter. I could be wrong. His daughter to, I believe, one of the free cities, to one of the sons of the leaders in one of the free cities. It was Pentos or Bravo. I don't remember, but it was one of the free cities in Essos, and I went, that is going to cause problems. That is most likely going to come back to bite the king in the ass. Or was it this free? I'm trying my best to remember. It is a little difficult. Um, but as we said, political drama is going on, and what this did lead to is the king deciding to entertain the idea of marrying his daughter Rhaenyra to the Sea Snake's son, which is Corvus's son. I could be wrong. My memory is a little fooey with this. These episodes are a bit long, so tends to get a little remembering. Remembering stuff is going to be interesting. So, all this happened. The reality is that she's probably gonna have to marry somebody she probably doesn't want to marry. Now, this is where we get into the, how shall we say, the buffoonery, as I said, where, for some god awful reason, Rhaenyra decided to go with her uncle into King's Landing, beyond the Red Keep and into King's Landing. Let us just say some interesting things happened. The first, and I think one of the more interesting aspects, was a a moment where Rhaenyra and Daemon were in an audience wearing clothes to make themselves look no different than the people around them, watching a play, or less of a play and more like a satire, a parody about the whole problem with succession. As I said, it is a very big thing, and she got to witness how, quite frankly, a lot of King's Landing and a lot of the people she's probably going to rule view her. They view her as weak. They view her as incompetent. They view her, the fact, they made fun of everybody, right? Even Daemon was not spared. And so it gave her a glimpse into what it's probably going to be like to rule as a woman in Westeros. I thought it was a nice moment. It was an interesting moment to use that kind of the thing you see where folks tell stories, they throw jabs, they do all this stuff to mock, to entertain people, and yet for Rhaenyra and Daemon, well, it's a harsh reality they had to deal with. Well, specifically more Rhaenyra. Daemon, I'm assuming, has seen these as he's accustomed to probably getting out of the castle every once in a while. Far more than Rhaenyra, anyway. Now, this goes into, unfortunately, this leads to an interesting development. Part of me, I just was like, they're actually doing this. So, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Daemon, being the, how shall we say, courageous? No, selfish motherfucker that he is, tried, having sex with Rhaenyra. Now, look, I know the Targaryens are all about that incest, but, like, bro, even I was like, this seems strange even for me. Thankfully, it did not go that way, however. For as much as, how shall we say, Daemon wanted to have sex with Rhaenyra, he unfortunately had the problem of he couldn't get it up. Edie is a bitch sometimes, Daemon. Maybe if Viagra was invented in his time, maybe things would have been different, but all well for him. However, the night did not end as I expected. Let's just say Rhaenyra eventually gave her virginity to somebody, and that somebody happened to be Sir Criston, the knight she picked in the first episode. My first instinct was, this is going to end poorly when they find out, when everybody else finds out what happened. This, however, all of this you think would go unnoticed by the rest of the kingdom, or how shall we say, the rest of the castle. Unfortunately for Rhaenyra and Daemon, this did not go unnoticed. A certain little boy who happened to be a spy for the Hand of the King, and Otto, let's just say they found out that Rhaenyra snuck out with Daemon. Now, you might think,
what's the big fucking deal, bitch? Yeah.
Well, they saw them walking out of the whorehouse, and I went, oh, this is going to end very poorly, even though nothing actually transpired between them. Now we have a giant situation, because now Otto, being the Hand of the King, went to his king and went, sire, your daughter and your brother were spotted walking out of a brothel, and let's just say they were doing some stuff that you wouldn't want them to be doing. And the king's like, no, you're lying to me. It happened, sire. That's basically how their conversation went. The king was in disbelief. Otto tried to make the king see reason. The king didn't want to see it. Told Otto to get the fuck out of his room. And so that led to a very awkward situation, because now you have the king sitting there going, did my daughter and my brother have sex? Did they really do this to me? Now, that's piece number one, because the next piece of this conversation happened is Alicent, Rhaenyra's friend and queen, found out, or she was eavesdropping on the conversation. She decided to go confront her friend Rhaenyra about the situation. I have never in my life went, this is going to end so poorly, it's not even going to be funny. Because Rhaenyra lied to her friend's face without hesitation. She made her see, go, no, nothing happened between us. I swear it on my mother. That was the part that made me go, really, bitch? Really, bitch? You're going to swear it on your mother's grave like that? So, that was meeting number one where I went, this is fucked. Then, the next little conversation happened between Daemon and his brother. Let's just say Daemon was threatened. Let's just say Daemon got a kick to the stomach. And Daemon was like, yeah, whatever, I soiled her. Give her to me now. And I went, Jesus Christ, Daemon, what is wrong with you, my boy? So it kind of, I guess, proved that Daemon doesn't really care so long as he has Rhaenyra and gets to sit on the Iron Throne. Now, I'm convinced about Rhaenyra. I'm not so convinced about the Iron Throne yet, simply because we still don't know what his ties are to his mistress that he claimed was pregnant with his child. We still don't know what the deal is with her. It's still a mystery. None of us know, unless the books say it. I haven't gone to that part yet, so getting close though. I know that much. That meeting ended as poorly as you can imagine. No blood was spilled, but it ended poorly. Then you had Viserys basically saying, you're going to marry the son of the sea snake because you have no idea how badly this can go for not only you, but me as well. We're both at risk because of that, and now we have to face the consequences. And that, I think, is going to be the key for the rest of the season, is the consequences for her decision, and probably it's going to reflect on it throughout the rest of her reign, because We don't know what's going to happen. It could end very poorly for all we know. Now, my thing in that whole meeting and what I made me go, what is wrong with Rhaenyra, was the moment when she started lying out of her ass and told her father that Otto is trying to plot against you. He's going against the interests of the realm and the interest of the king, of you, your interest. And he's planting lies in your head and trying to get you to make your son, my half brother, Aegon, as the next ruler, as the heir. In my head, in that moment, I went, "What the hell is wrong with you, Rhaenyra? What is wrong with you?" Right? Because here's the best part. I forgot to mention this. The night when everybody thought she had sex with her uncle, no. She had sex with Sir Criston, her loyal king, her loyal knight. So now she has not only screwed the pooch so bad, she's basically making her father turn on her own hand, on his, the hand of the king, but she's literally putting a member of the King's Guard, who are basically, if I remember correctly, they're not allowed to own titles. They're not allowed to own land. They're basically in the same league as the Night's Watch, and they're not allowed to take wives or anything. So for him to risk his own ass in sleeping with Rhaenyra, it was a giant risk. All of this culminated to a meeting between Otto and Viserys, where basically Viserys took Otto's job away from him, right? Saying that, despite you serving under two kings faithfully and doing your job and serving the realm well, yet I'm going to choose my daughter over you simply because we share blood. That is the only reason why I'm going to believe her, because she is my daughter, and I'm going to ignore all the service you've done in, for the whole kingdom, for all of Westeros, and even insinuate you might have had something to do with the death of the previous king. So that, how shall we say, doesn't bode well, and that definitely caused a big stir-up throughout the conversation. And unfortunately, this does bring in the conversation of, did Viserys make the right decision in that moment? As we, as the audience, go, no, he fucked up in that moment. Because, we all know the truth that, Rhaenyra did sleep with somebody. Somebody that she really, that I think is just as bad as sleeping with her uncle, was sleeping with somebody from the King's Guard. So all of this does culminate to the last scene of the episode, where the Maester came into her room with a concoction of some sort. Don't know what it was, but I had my sneaking suspicion of what it was the moment he walked in, and he gave it to her and said, if you mixed it, if you had it go either way, it could damage your body, or it could do some damage to your body if it's, even off by a bit. And I went, oh, this is one of these. This is to ensure that she doesn't have any unwanted pregnancies. And I went, there we go. And so that's the general gist of the episode. There are a lot of things that happen that, quite frankly, are going to have some lasting impacts. I think certainly going into the next episode. Is she going to take the concoction, or is somebody going to find out about the one night stand she had with Sir Criston? Is Daemon going to continue to cover for her? Is the king going to get suspicious? And what about her friendship with Alicent? Because she more or less promised Alicent on her own dead mother's grave, that she didn't sleep with her uncle. Which is, she could say she technically didn't lie in that moment. But the moment they find out she's not pure anymore, well, let's just say that some heads are going to roll. But as a whole, I thought the episode was great all around. Some things are starting to, happen. Some things are starting to move. The plot, all these decisions that Rhaenyra is making in the lead up to her eventually taking over the Iron Throne. Right? And we're seeing a lot of these twists and turns, these decisions she's making that seem stupid in hindsight, like being seen with her uncle in a brothel, being seen with her uncle in King's Landing. Right? It's I guess a moment where she realizes that she can't be naive anymore, and realizes that, yeah, the politics of the Red Keep and just of and the politics surrounding the Iron Throne can be quite crushing on you. Right? People are going to be, as the king even said it, every member of the council serves their own interest. Right? And it's just the reality of the situation. It's the reality of being king, is those around you might not always be doing things because that's best for you. They might be doing it that's best for others, whether it's for themselves, for them as an individual to benefit from it, or their house, or their own people that they know. So all of this is going to serve probably as a big lesson for Rhaenyra in the long run. I have a bad feeling that this is going to go very poorly for Daemon going forward. And so, like I said, I thought it was a good episode. I think that's most of what I have to say on it. I definitely think it's, this has been, like I said, 4 episodes in, and the quality has been holding up. And that is something that's pretty good so far, in all honesty. Right? So, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've said everything I've needed to say about the newest episode for House of the Dragon. Given that I'm recording this on a Friday morning, hopefully I will be seeing you guys a bit earlier next week with the next video. Anyway, but you're gonna have to subscribe if you want to catch that new episode review, or that review of the next episode. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a like, comment, say what you gotta say to me, and I'll see you guys next time.